right, welcome back to Death Toll Racing. We have another episode that may not be for everyone today. This is an episode on using a 2D CAD software, and we're going to, from the very start to finish, we're going to design a rock slider for this car. Full-length rock sliders that will be mounted to the frame. Anyway, from start to finish on that CAD program, you don't get to see my notes too much in this episode, but basically everything was pulled from this back corner. Forward, and then from my reference line was basically my bend line measured. That was how I got my depth and stuff in. But anyway, if you are interested in learning that CAD program, it's called DraftSight. It's made by the same company who makes SolidWorks, Dassault. It's pretty cool software. I mean, very, very simple. Once you get the hang of it, you'll really do some cool things with it. But it's just 2D CAD. Very, very, very simple program. But it is so nice. Every part on this thing that I've designed so far has been done on that software. So it's about $200 a year. But there is free trials, so download it. If you want to build this thing alongside of me, I go in enough detail and slow enough you can build this right alongside of me and to learn that system. You just kind of bounce back and forth, and it would be pretty cool. It's a really good way of learning to do the system. And there's so many scenarios that we do in this that making a coilover mount or something is just going to be a cakewalk compared to doing this. So if you can get through this one, starting a coilover bracket or something like that will be easy. So anyway, stay tuned. Check it out. It should be pretty good. It is long. I warn you, it's about an hour, I think, of it. So I tried to speed up a couple areas where it was just repetitive, but there really wasn't much. I maybe saved like 4 minutes off the video. So anyway, stay tuned. Check it out. It's a pretty good one. All right, so here we go. So this is just the opening screen. Usually it'll actually open your standard screen when you first open it, but we're going to do it together. So we'll just push new. It's going to add, and this is where it's kind of confusing at first, but just do standard, and that's the one that comes with it. I haven't actually changed it, so this will be exactly how yours does. And there's your drawing screen. So as you scroll in and out, depending on which way you're scrolling in and out, and I'm doing that with the wheel on the mouse, and that's how you'll zoom in and out. You'll use that a lot, but something it takes a little bit to get used to is where you have the mouse in position. Like if the part starts getting off the screen, it sometimes can get frustrating when you're very new at it on how to scroll so that the part comes back in the screen. And that's just something you'll get used to. Just play with it, and just pay attention where your mouse is, because that's why it's moving. It's just where your mouse is in relation to your scrolling. And so just watch for that. So right now, let's save this. Let's save it. We'll just do it in the, let's see, I think I have Safari parts. Here we go. We'll just do it here. Let's say rock slider. Sorry, spelling it with a Y. So save it, because if it crashes, it would suck. We'd lose everything we did, and that's frustrating. So I pressed the line. This is going to be a first line. We're going to start with just the surface that you're going to see, and then we'll just add on to it. So I'm going to just click anywhere. I'm going to go up here, and then we want to go down. So you see how it snaps to 90? So I want it to snap to 90. We know that part needs to be 5 inches. So instead of going down and trying to hit 5 inches, you can see how it's highlighted there. Just press 5, and there it is, and press enter. And that just made a 5-inch line, and you have to make sure that you were on 90 degree. It was snapped to 90. So there's our 5-inch height for that first part. Now we're going to come over. Remember, we're starting this corner here that we just created. That's the back corner of the car, our reference point. So now we need to go over. Remember, it was 7 feet when you measure from that back corner that we just drew up to the front corner where it angles up at 15 degrees. It was 7 feet, but we're actually down below that. So that angle is going to continue down. So we're going to just take a 1/2 inch off of that, just so that our part isn't a little bit, I'd rather it be a little too short than a little too long. So we're going to go just below that, so 83.5, enter, and now the part's way out there, so we're going to scroll down. I'm going to move my mouse over here so it scrolls, so it moves that way as as I'm scrolling. So there we have that's the bottom corner of the part that you see that'll be broke to the bottom of the car there. So now the next line we need to go up at 15 degrees. Remember, so you can see the angle. You can see the angle next to the length that I'm drawing. See how it says 90 degrees right there? So. And what we're going to do, since we don't know exactly how long that is at that angle without doing the math on a right triangle to figure out how long that leg is, we're just going to go long. So let's just say 10, but don't press enter yet. Press tab instead, and that's going to go to your angle. So now, straight up and down on this thing is 90. So we want it to be 15 degrees, so 75. So type 75 and enter. And it just drew a 10-inch line, 75 degrees, out in that direction. So just push escape now and get out of that line drawing. Now we'll draw another line. We're going to start from here because we know that's the right height. And it'll always snap at flat, so at perfectly flat. So we'll just go long, let it snap perfectly flat, and just draw a line anywhere. Just let it be long. Now we can trim that off. So, and that's where this menu right here, I just like trim. Power trim is too confusing. So I just push trim. And now down here, see my mouse, it says enter or specify entities. So you could start selecting it, and that's not selecting what you're cutting, that's selecting what you're going to cut to. Or it says you can push enter for all. So we're just going to do enter. 99% of the time, just do enter. And now we want to trim those off. So if you just click them, it just trims them back to the next line where it intersects. That's how that works. So now we're done, so push escape. Escape always gets you out of whatever command you're in. See how it said cancel down there. So now you're out of it, and now you're just back into basically doing nothing. You can select things, and that's about all you can do while you're not in a command there. And I pushed escape again to get out of that. So now that is the side you look at. Don't worry, we'll spruce it up, we'll round the corners off and everything else, but that's the side you're going to look at down the center of the car. So now ignore these. These are only there. That's just there showing you the X and Y in case you're designing it. If you have a mind that works X and Y, you can do a lot X and Y this way too. Some guys will do that. I don't usually do it that way, but some guys will do it. If you ran a lot of CNC stuff, you're going to be really familiar with X and Y, so you'll probably do it differently than I'm doing it because you'll probably want to use X and Y, and that's totally fine. You can do it that way too. So that's that part. So now we got to divide the part. Basically, the bottom there is our bend line. But now we need to design the part that's going to come out to the frame. And so since we're doing it flat, we'll just let it snap on the corner there. Come down. The longest area, so in this back corner is the longest. It's 11 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and type 11. We're snapped square. So I typed 11 there. Then I know I need to go over 6 inches this direction. So 6, enter. And now we have a line there that's 6. Deleted it. So now we need another line that's 5 3/8 down. So just snap on the corner, go 5 3/8, which is 5.375. You'll get really good at decimals doing this. Now this is going to be the bottom in the majority of it. So we're just going to go all the way over. We'll just let it run wild, and we're just going to leave it that way for a while. So that's the one bottom there. Now I'm going to click this line and delete it just so it's not there. It'll usually do the last one you drew. Will be the one that highlights when you go over it. It'll do the last one. And escape's your friend. Just press escape a million times so you get back to nothing. Anytime you're in something you want to be in, just start pushing escape. And you'll learn where escape is real quick on your keyboard. So now we have that line. It's really hard to explain this while you're doing it. It almost makes it more difficult, but that's okay. So now that's our 5 3/8 line. So now this is where we can do our 16 over. That's where I should have done it to begin with. So let's go 16, enter, and now connect the dots. Now that's looking better. And now we can, if we wanted, trim this off, but we'll do that here in a little bit so that we're not just keep going into that menu. So now we'll just leave it. So now this comes over, and this goes all the way down to, let's see, I'm looking on my measurement, 44 and a half is where we have to do our first knockout for, and that's going to be clearing the well, that's not our first knockout, but that's the first one we're going to draw. And that's the transmission cross member mount. So we'll go ahead and just snap there. We're going to go over 44 and a half. Oops, it's 2.5 inches from the other way, from this side. That's okay, we'll just snap it and then click again and go 2.5 down. And then we'll go over, we'll just delete that line later. So this is where you can, because this thing is perfectly accurate, this is where you can just do the math and snap over. Since everything's perfectly accurate, your stack up errors. So we're 44 and a half to 62 is where we needed it. So that is to there. So now this is where it gets. This is where our upper controller mount is right in. Well, right here, I should say. This is the transmission cross member right here, and right here is the that upper control arm mount, and it would be hitting that line, so we actually need to give it some clearance. So we're going to start. The rest of our part is only going to be 4.5 inches, where this is 5 3/8. So we need to come up the difference of that. 7/8. So we're going to go up 7/8 from here. 8.5. And then that we can just run wild again. Just let it run wild. So there we go. So now we don't need this line down here either. That's our new edge for the rest of the thing. So let's go ahead and trim off what we don't need, just to not need it or not have it in our way. So we don't need that. It won't let you trim something that's short already. Since that's its own line, it won't let you actually trim that. So we'll actually have to delete that first. So we'll wait. We'll trim this though. We don't. Oh, what are you doing? Trim. Oh, we drew a line there. So I'm gonna escape. Let's delete that. There we go. And then let's delete this. So now there's a line that needs to be trimmed, and we'll trim that one right. Oh, we need to trim this too. Okay, so there's our rough shape of what it's going to be like. Other than this needs to be connected, and that's just going to be a square connection. So we'll just draw that real quick. Snap. We're going to go straight in. We don't need to go at an angle, and then escape. And now we can go ahead and trim that other part off. There we go. And then escape out of that so you don't start cutting stuff. So this line, we're just going to leave it there for reference, but we're going to delete it when we're done. That is the brake line, though. That's where the part will be bent. So that's our rough shape. So now we need to go through and add our holes. To do that, I like this line being there for reference, but at the same time, it's kind of annoying because you keep pulling lines over top of it. So what I'm going to do is I want a point here that I can pull from that's in the exact spot. So what we're going to do is just draw a little fake line going out, and it doesn't matter, it's just temporary, it doesn't matter how long it is. And then we're going to just delete this one. We already have the point over here, that's the corner. So now our first body mount, and this is the one that actually has to stay in our design because we need to get through it for the nut, is what is that? It's 12.5 over, and then it's from that line down, it's 6.5, 6.5, and that's to center. So obviously the plate isn't covering the entire hole, at least the way our design is. So I have mine set up. You can see down here, it's specify radius. If you want to do diameter, you just press D, enter, and then we're going to do 2 inch for all of our holes. And you can see it's overlapped there. That's okay. We'll trim that with our trimming tool up here, the scissors later. So that's our first hole. We're going to leave that hole there. That's going to be part of the design, so that cutout will be permanent. So we know not to put a bolt hole there, obviously, because there won't be material parts there. So let's escape out of everything. And let's trim. So press enter. Let's go ahead and trim that off, trim that out. And that's good. And now let's delete these lines because we don't need them anymore. So there's our first body mount hole. So that we can just leave just like that. We will trim those so they're not sharp. We'll do that later. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. So don't worry about those being kind of like sharp areas. All the corners and stuff will round off here in a little bit. I'll show you how to do that. So now our next body hole is 40.5 inches over. So we're always this. Oops, I just pushed a hole. We need a line. 40.5. So 40.5. And then down. This one's 3.5 inches from there. There we go. So now let's draw our circle. It always defaults to radius. You can change that in your settings of default. It's fine for me. 1 is the radius diameter of 2. So there we go. There's our hole. So now let's delete these guys. And we can leave those or we can delete them. Whatever you want to do. I'm going to leave them just so they cover the frame. That way it blocks the frame from filling up with dirt in those holes. Because they were really full of dirt already. So I'm going to leave them, or I'm going to take them, remove them. I'm going to cover them, but we're going to leave them there just so that we don't put a bolt hole in that spot. The next one is 71.5 inches. Like doctor's notes here. And then it is typical. It's 3.5, 3.5. So now we need this. This one might be hanging off a little bit, maybe. 1. So we're right on the edge. Now we can delete these guys. And our next one, there's another one right after this one. It is at 80.5, so 80.5. And then it's down, it's also 3.5. Escape. Draw a circle, 1 radius. There we go. And now we can delete those. So there we go. So now we know not to put bolts in those locations. So we have that pretty good. I'm almost second guessing whether we should have made this a little bigger, just in case the part doesn't exactly line up where we want it, so we're not covering our hole. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So if you want to snap a hole right in the middle, you'll have to kind of find an edge there and then center a line up so it'll snap. So you can do a new hole. So let's go. Let's make that one 2.5 inches. So 1.25 is the radius, and then we'll go ahead and delete this old one. And then we'll go ahead and trim. Enter, select all, so then we'll trim it just like this. There we go. Now we won't accidentally cover the hole if it doesn't line up exactly how we wanted it. So, which when you're breaking material, sometimes things don't work out exactly as planned. So always give yourself some. So escape out of that, and now we're back to designing again. So. Now we need to let's put in our mounting bolt holes. We have to remember this area, there's no frame. The frame is following this. So that's where we'll put all our bolt holes. It will be along here and here and down this way. So easy way of doing it, I'm just going to snap up. Let's start our holes. Let's go in 1.5 inches in. That should be good. We'll just snap a nice straight line there. So that'd be 119 would be perpendicular, but we want to be 1.5 tab 119. That's going to be close enough for a perpendicular line, and then we'll go up. This way we can run wild, so just push tab and then do 29, and that'll be close enough just for bolt holes on that. And then without doing a bunch of math, I don't know what the easier way of doing that would be. And now we want to go up 1.5, and then we'll just go over somewhere wild, and then we'll do the same up here, 1.5, and then we'll go over, we'll just let it run wild again. We're going to delete that here in a minute anyway. So that's going to be our lines where our bolt holes are. I guess we can just go from here Let's just go down. Just push tab. And then, what is that, 209? Yeah, close enough. So at least we have our lines there now. Okay, so now we'll put bolt holes in. So let's go 1.5 inches in as well, so we're symmetrical. And that's going to be the center of our first bolt hole. And then our holes, let's make them 1/2 inch, so 0.25 radius, and we'll do that. We may as well just put one right there on that intersection. We'll just put one. We'll just kind of eyeball one in there. Okay, that's the midpoint of the line, so that'll work fine. That looks pretty good there. I don't like that, so I'm going to draw a line at this intersection up to where I want it, and then we can snap from the end of that line, maybe. Damn it. Get rid of this line. There. Sometimes you got to do that just to do tricks. Okay, now we don't need that line anymore. We don't need this line anymore. So there's our, or this line. There's our first bolt holes. Those look pretty good. And now we'll just put some down this line. So what I'll do, we'll draw a line. Go 1.5 inches. Let's just go inch on this one, and then we'll put a bolt there. And now this is where we can just do stack up stuff from center to center. So let's just go ahead and delete this line. And now we can just do a line, just snap to the middle. And let's just go, let's do, what do you think, 3-inch bolt centers? I think that'd look pretty nice. We can just do that all the way across. Just leave it flat, press 3 enter, just let it keep growing until we get far enough, which that should be far enough. So now we can just hit the ends. So it'll find center or it'll find the end. The square is the end. You have to do this every time. There we go. There's the bolts for that side. And then keep in mind we will end up adding a gusset in here in this open area to stiffen it up a little bit out here in this corner so that it's not sitting on its own. But I don't know exactly how we're going to do that yet, so we'll just leave that alone. We'll probably weld it onto here and then put another bolt pad on the side of the frame. And we'll just come up with that as we need it. So let's put a bolt hole right in the middle of that. So we'll just snap center of this one, and then that looks like a good spot wherever it was snapping to there. I'm not sure actually even where that was, but that's okay. Let's put one there, 0.25, and then we'll delete that. That looks pretty good. So now there's really nothing out here we can put bolt holes on, so that's just going to have to span without a bolt. And this does seem like an excessive amount of bolts, and it probably is, but that's okay. Now we'll just so we can keep it kind of symmetrical, we'll go 1.5 in. That'll be exactly square there. We'll put one there. Let's go ahead and delete this since we have one. Now we were going 3. Yeah, that's pretty good. That looks pretty good. All right, so there's those ones, and now we'll just come over. Let's just say right there. That'll be good enough. We're not. This hole's not actually going to be there. We're gonna delete that when we're done. We're just avoiding it, so it doesn't need to be perfect. So if we go 3 and 3, let's just snap, kind of eyeballing again, avoiding that hole. We'll snap there, and then it should find a center. So that way we can put a bolt right in the middle. That triangle is center of the line. There we go. And that should look pretty good. And now we want one right there. So see if it connects tangent. So there, now we just drew a line tangent there. And now, in that line there, we can just put it in the center on that triangle. So now we can delete that. Delete that stuff. Hey, I'm missing. There we go. And now we don't need those anymore. We're avoiding them. So there's our bolt holes. So we got the bolt holes done. That was pretty easy. Now, this hole doesn't need to be there either. So there's our bolt holes. Pretty cool. So now we want to draw our ovals. I'm going to go ahead and put our line back. I know I just deleted it, but so that we can get our ovals in their center. So now what we're going to do, so our oval slots that I want to put in there, I'm going to match them to this 15 degrees right here. So we'll just draw one real quick. We'll just do it out here. Let's make them inch wide slots. I think that'll look pretty good. Now, this is what's cool, is it'll draw a tangent, so it pick the corners. And I could have zoomed in on that too, if you're ever having trouble seeing it. Let's go trim. I just press enter, select all, click the stuff in the area that you want it removed, and it'll remove it. So there we go. So that's a slot, but now we need it 15 degrees. So how are we going to do that? What we're going to do is on this one, not that one, on this one, we're going to say rotate. We'll just select the whole thing and press enter. And then what do you want it to rotate around? In our situation, it really doesn't matter. So let's just type, we actually want it to go this way. Let's say 15 degrees. It's probably going to be wrong. We'll see where it goes. Nope, wrong way. So let's press undo. Let's do it again. Rotate, select, enter. So 15 degrees, let's just type negative 15. There we go. Now we got a 15 degree slot. So now let's copy this thing. Let's recopy this, but let's right click on it this time. Let's say paste copy with a reference point. Now it wants us to choose a reference point, so let's choose the center. And now when we paste it, it'll actually have a reference point to the center. So let's figure out our spacing real quick. So from there over, what do you think? Let's try 2 inches, and we'll see. So now let's paste, and let's let it snap right on that reference point. Is that too close together? That looks too close together to me, so let's undo that. Let's delete it. Well, actually, let's just push undo. Let's try putting our slots 3 inches apart. Let's see what that looks like. So now Control V will give you your part, which is just paste. if you're not familiar with computers, or you can right click and say paste. Now that almost looks too far apart to me. If we're going to repeat that the whole way down, I don't know. I think that's too far apart. I don't like it. So let's delete these guys. Let's go 2.5 inches. I think that looks pretty good. So let's copy and paste this whole thing. Let's copy it. We're going to copy it instead of cutting it. Let's copy it with a reference point. Let's reference point right there. I think that's going to be a good one. And now we can put the first one. Let's try putting it about 1 inch in. So let's go 1 inch down and 1 inch over. I don't think that's going to be enough, but let's try it. Let's Control V. Yeah, that's not enough, so that won't work. So let's try going 1 more inch. That looks pretty nice. That's not too bad at all. So now let's recopy this so that we can just keep repeating it. But we're going to change the reference point a little bit. Let's change the reference point to right here. And that way we know, because that was 2.5. Now we can Control V. So we don't have to keep drawing that line. Let's just do this. And then let's recopy it with a reference point of this. Now when we paste Control V, we can just snap it to the middle. If we were smart, we would have deleted all those building lines so we don't have to go through and delete them again. So that looks pretty good, but we ended up with kind of an odd spacing at the end. So I don't know if I like that. So let's try to center this up a little better. So let's just cut this whole thing out. So not hitting any other lines. Let's go cut. Ooh, but we can't cut with a reference point. Okay, let's copy with a reference point, and I think let's just do here, and then let's go ahead and cut it and move it. So just grab it and drag it away, and now let's put a line. Our 1 inch down was good. And then what were we over? How long was that? 2 inches over. So let's go back to 1 inch. Let's try 2.5. And now let's Control V. Let's put it there. How does that look? That looks pretty good. I think we can live with that. I like that. That's not too bad. So, okay, we'll live with that. So we can just go ahead and delete all this stuff. We can delete our little lines here. We got a lot of lines to delete. And if we were smart, we would have deleted them before we started pasting, but that's okay. So somehow I got into something. something about being oh, that's what I was doing. Oh, so this is how you can delete them without pushing delete a million times. You can just start selecting them like this. I do this all the time. It's one of those things I figured this out, and then I still don't do it this way. So you can just keep selecting them and then press delete once. That's much easier. So you should probably do it that way, not the way I did it. So keep in mind, this line's not going to be here. That's going to be where it's broke. So that's going to be a soft edge. And so having that little bit extra space won't be very noticeable, because it's really tough to say where center of that actual part will be once they bend it. But it won't look bad, because it'll be pretty consistent on the edge of the part. So the bottom is just going to be bent away anyway. So that's pretty good. So we don't need this line, I don't believe, anymore. We'll leave that one there just for a minute, so we can see. I hate it when that thing ends up kind of in the middle of your part. So let's move it away from it. There we go. So I think that's looking pretty good. Let's add some holes. So we have our brake line, but I wanted to put some like drain holes down here, not in the brake, but I don't want it. I kind of want one in here. This to be kind of opened up a little bit. So we'll put some circles maybe in here, or ovals. So let's just go ahead and do that. Let's just eyeball them, and then we can move them if we don't like how they look. So I want to make sure we're not on the frame. So I actually think we'll line it up this way. I think that'll be better. Now it's kind of the same deal. It'd be nice to have some holes along here so stuff can drain out, because there is that gap between the body, like right after that break. I kind of wish that line was still there now, so let's put it back. I don't want to make it too weak by putting too many holes right along in between. The more holes we put in it along here, the easier it is going to be to bend it when we hit something. But at the same time, I don't want it to be filling with junk. So let's just put a couple holes in here. That's not too bad. So let's go ahead and actually put them there for real. Let's just delete them. So we want them in the middle. So snap the middle, and that was 3 inches, remember? So we'll go 1.5. And then up to there is 3.875, but actually that's irrelevant. We need it to be kind of closer to that. So let's center them 2.625. So that's 2 5/8. And then now we can just go over. We know 6. We know 6. Actually, let's just go 12. Because we can also snap to center. Well, let's see. Let's just snap that one anywhere, and we'll just put it on the line. So remember, there's that bolt pad there. You know what? Let's just keep the spacing. Oops. This shouldn't be on the frame. This should be in between, hopefully mostly in between the frame and the car, hopefully. I did 12 because we can find center. All right, let's see what that gets us here. There we go. I think that looks pretty good. Kind of feel like we're missing some in here, so I'm going to put one right in the middle there. I'm just going to come 6 inches over from this one and put one more in there. So 6. So if you can't, if the center's not popping up, just get your cursor over the hole and then the center will go there. What I just did there is I want to put this circle right in the middle of these two. So I'm just actually going to delete it and draw a new one because center line will pop up with that triangle. And now we can put one nice and centered. Let's just do one inch. That'll be a 2-inch circle. So now it appears to be closer to this one because it's going off centers. And I don't like that. So I am going to change my methods there on how I found center. So I'm going to draw a new line center to center. Then I'm going to draw another line edge to edge because it'll snap at those intersections. I'm going to delete the original line. I'm going to delete our circle here. Now I'm going to draw a new circle. And now this is actually centered in between them, if that makes sense. So now that, just appearance-wise, looks a lot nicer there. So let's go ahead and delete our line. So there we go. There we have our rock slider, but it's not done yet. I have a little bit more I want to do to it. I don't want any sharp corners on this thing. So let's clean those up now. So what we're going to use is this fillet one. And then let's, on the options down here where my cursor is, you got multiple, poly, radius, trim, blah, blah, blah. That's the options of it. So we're going to do multiple. And now it's telling us to select our entities. But first I want to tell it the radius. So let's go R. Now it wants us to know what radius do we want our fillet to be. So let's try 0.5 and see what this looks like. So now you just select the two corners and it'll draw it. We have an extra line, so that's okay. We'll trim that line off. And that'll just kind of soften those up. You can even select these two, and that makes that hole look much nicer. It'll make this look a lot nicer. Okay, that looks pretty good. I like it. Let's delete these extra lines that were there. We should be able to delete them without causing a problem. That's okay, don't worry about that. It's easy to draw that back. There. Problem solved. Okay, so now the only thing I don't like about it, I wish this was a little bit bigger, so let's do a new fillet, and let's do multiple inner, let's do the radius inner, let's change the radius to, I want to make that kind of big. Let's do 2. Let's try 2 and see what it looks like. There, so let's select these 2. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. And sometimes it'll do that when you're doing this radius, it'll leave the old one, so let's just delete it. When you change radius like that, that makes it look a lot better. There. Now let's. I don't really want to do that because that's actually the reference line for the guy to bend it. So we'll leave that alone. I think if we put too much of a radius there, it'll make it look funny once it's bent. So that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. I think so. we'll use 1/2-inch holes. So it looks funny now that we don't have our holes there, but don't just remember that there's a body mount there, and that's why their spacing is kind of odd. That should work out pretty good. So now there's going to be a bend right along there. I don't see anything that's an issue. I think we got everything in the right spot. Hopefully we can double check a couple measurements just to make sure. So measurements on this thing. Let's see, dimension. You can go select this and select this, and it'll put a dimension. So 16 inches. So our total. Yeah, so that looks great. I love it. So let's escape. If you click on the dimensions, you can delete them. You don't want to leave those there if it's a cut file, because it will actually try to cut those out, and you don't want that. So I think I'm good with it. So let's show you how it isn't necessary, but I'm going to show you how to flip the part. So just select it, and then let's see. I believe it's in this one. Mirror. Specify starting point to mirror. That's fine. So, and this is where it gets confusing. And this is if you don't have a good graphics card. It won't like that at all. No. So I shouldn't have done that. Let's go back. Let's draw a temporary line. It doesn't matter how tall it is. Now let's redo it. Let's press mirror, and let's do this. And then, no. And then you can delete this part. And it mirrored our line too, that's why there's two lines. So that's how you would mirror it. If you're cutting it out plasma, I probably would actually mirror it. But since we're going to cut it out laser, it'll be fine. It'll look the same from both ways. Plasma, you have kerf and everything, and the back side being to the visual side, you always want to kind of put parts on in the cut side towards the outside, the side that you see. When it comes to things like this, like if you're building a bumper or whatever, you don't want to put it in inside out, because you end up all the corners look kind of funny, and they don't cut out perfectly straight. Laser, you can't really tell one way from the other. But since we already did it, let's just leave it. Okay, so now we have our part. To go to send, cut, send, we're not going to want the mirrored part. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off. And I'm going to start a new file, standard file. I'm going to save this one. So this will be rock slider. This is the left hand. And technically it's upside down, so it's hard to imagine, but that's okay. It's the same part either way. So now we need to create DXF files. So when we save it, it saves it as a drawing file, DWG file. And I believe send, cut, send needs DXF. It's usually a way smaller file, so it's easier to upload. So we'll go ahead and save it as that. So let's go save as. And then the part number can be, or the drawing number can be the same, but let's go DXF. And then if I send it to my local guy, I need to save it as an older DXF file. I believe send, cut, send, which is what we're going to do right now. I believe this one will be fine, so we'll just select that. Actually, you know what? I am going to select the older one. It won't matter anyway. We'll just do that. That'll be fine. So it is saved as a DXF now. Now let's open our other one, which is very, let's see, it's right as well. There we go. Okay, so here's Send Cut Send. This is a super simple program for sending your parts to, and they'll get shipped to your house. It's probably only going to be practical for smaller stuff. Those what we just designed is actually too big. It won't even do the online quoting. So just to do that, let's just to show you, I'm going to go ahead and pull in a gusset. And this is a DXF file for a 3-inch gusset, the ones like I use a lot. There it is. So there's the gusset. Now you just push next, select your material, steel, mild steel. This means cold rolled steel, and that's hot rolled plate. I don't know what the PO means. This is hot rolled, hot rolled, hot rolled. I think this is pickled. So it won't have mill scale on it. I think that's what the PO means. But we're just going to use this cold rolled 135. Actually, 119 will be good enough for this thing. And then it tells you your pricing right there on getting them cut out. So if you get 20 of them cut out, it's $338. 50 is $3. The price gets real cheap when you get down to 1,000. And that's just setup time. They're just absorbing the setup time into it. So you just select how many you want. Say we want 10 of them. They're $356. Add them to cart. And it's as simple as that. You can just keep adding parts to it. So you go your drawings. You can save your drawings in it. Like I already actually have all my gussets saved in here, so I can add them to the cart and have more cut out. And this was when I was price shopping it just to see how competitive it was. These are a bunch of the parts. Like these are the plates and stuff that we used on our steering bracket and stuff like that. But anyway, so that's kind of it, and it actually worked pretty good. I ended up ordering. I didn't get these from them, but I bought them local, and it actually would have been cheaper to get them from here. I talked to my local guy about it, and he doesn't seem to care. So I will start using these guys more often. Their parts are super clean when they come, and then there's also a multiple of a selection of parts that you can get from them and materials and stuff. So really cool stuff. That's Send Cut Send. I like them. I've used them once, and all I did was buy a bunch of gussets from them. I bought all these gussets from them. And they turned out really clean. They were put on a cardboard backing with, and they're like shrink wrapped to it. It looked really professional when you get them. So it was pretty nice. It took about a week or so to get them. So not too bad. Worked out pretty good. So that's Send Cut Send. I do recommend it. I'm not paid to tell you that. I used them. I paid full price for them. I don't actually need this, so I'm going to delete it. So I'll send those parts out, and we'll get them cut out and bent. I'll let you know how much they cost, and we'll take a look at them and see what we screwed up. Hopefully nothing. So later next week, you'll be seeing videos coming out on the Ford, the F350 record, the motor swap, transmission swap, and EFI swap. Those videos will all start coming out. I'm going to try to video them. I'll try to edit them as fast as I can, but I'm going to try to get that project done as fast as I can, so I probably won't edit it until the project's actually done, and then I'll start releasing the videos as I get them edited. So take care. We'll see you next week.